Oh, good. Yay! I gained back 51 minutes, 38 seconds. Yeah, I went through my files trying to make room. Anywho, yeah, it's the struggle is real. Anyway, I was also I ran across a few of the videos that I had made early on. God, I was fucking scrawny. I don't know. It was well. I was on my way out to Colorado on one of them, and I was bitching about the heat, and the most of it I can see like in my face, you know, and that's when the menopause like kicked in full tilt boogie, and I was like, anywho, and yeah, it's like, yeah, let's talk about menopause a second. Yeah, um, it was 2023. I went out to my sister's birthday. She was it was 2022. No, it was 2023. Anyway, and I went out on the bike, and I was on the way out there, and it was like triple digits, like hot as fuck, and I'd only been out of the relationship about 3 months at that point, and that's when menopause, like the extremes of it, decided to like kick into overdrive. And by the time I got to Colorado, I had left here and I felt great. And I got out there and I was like distended, like poofy. And I'm like, what the fuck? Now, it's been kind of like one of the standing jokes, or one of the comments that has always been made throughout my life. I never had a stomach. I was flat. I was like, you see these, content creators that got these teeny tiny little waists, big butts. That was me. Whole life. Never had a tummy. Ever. Never had a pooch. I was flat. Even like after I gave birth to my daughter, I snapped right back. Within a couple of months, I was right back to flat. Never had this pooch. Ever. And when the pooch occurred, like instant. It wasn't an accumulation that I like got used to, and one day woke up, looked in the mirror, and like, holy crap, I look like I'm in my second trimester. No, I went from 0 to third trimester in a week. That's how traumatizing that emotion. It was like, what the fuck? But I look back on, on a lot of the videos where, I was focusing on, doing my makeup every day, making sure I was taking care of me. Me. Fuck house. Me. And I was like, wow. Wow. Holy cat. Wow. Now, fascinating as it may be, I was just as a little psychologically twisted then as I am now. However, back then, I was traumatized into this. Now, I realize that I was traumatized. I've kind of worked through a lot of the chaos inside my head. And my sister had called me earlier, and her and I had talked about a bunch of stuff. And I mean, ironically, I'm like on my way to the bathroom, and I'm sitting there reminiscing about the early stages of her marriage. And I'm like, yeah, I was in the military, and while cigarettes back then were like $30-$40 a carton, I was getting them on the military market for like $7 to $12 a carton, right? So I was helping her out. It's like I knew she was a smoker. She was a smoker back then. He dipped. And I could get cigarettes and, his Copenhagen sleeve for like half of what they were spending up there. Like a quarter for her cigarettes and half of what he would get for like his dip, because he went through a sleeve like a week. And I would get those for them because I could afford it. And I would send her 4 cartons a month and him a sleeve a month to help them. So they weren't, struggling on that accord. And I know my mother had, it was basically Feed the Children Fund. It's like Kimmy had come home and there was a whole bunch of groceries on the kitchen floor. And she was like, what the fuck? Where did all this come from? My mother went grocery shopping for them. Knowing they were struggling. Knowing, And being in that dynamic of a relationship where basically you're living on chicken and rice because your kids' baby formula and Pampers are consuming your entire budget. And he was going through nursing school, and she was working for an attorney as a contract analyst. And of course they had daycare and, whatnot that they had to pay for in a mortgage. Life was really, really hard for them. And when anybody picked up the slack, he decided that he was not going to take the overtime for that week. So there was never any getting ahead. The house that she had purchased was, it was a 2-family home. So basically the mortgage was paid for by the rent of the second. It was like a duplex type of thing. And what it needed was a different style of heating element, because the heating that was in the house was quite literally about 1.5 times that of the mortgage a month. So when she had put in a request for the funding in order to upgrade the heating elements and capacity of the house, and the credit union had refused her, she sold it back to them and said, fuck it, I'm done. My mortgage is $425. My electric bill is $780. And if you're not going to help me bring my entire bill to $800 as opposed to $1,200, then I'm out. I'm out. I can't do this. So she ended up selling it back to the bank. them claiming bankruptcy, and they packed up and moved to Colorado. And she's been there ever since. That was in upstate New York. When did I go in the military? It was like between 97. I wasn't pregnant with my daughter yet. So, yeah, it was 1996. To give you an idea. Now, my parents had sold their house and moved down here in 94. My parents had considered moving from the state of New York back in 1981, which they should have done. I think we would have been a much more financially well-to-do and happier family had we moved. I think there would have been a lot more opportunity. I think, my father was very much, the mindset that he had as opposed to, in comparison to what I have. He was scared. He was scared that he was going to get down to any other state in the South and feel as though he was not going to be adequately compensated for his efforts, that he had that financial security of the Union in upstate New York. He did retire, but as soon as he retired, he moved to where he didn't need to compare himself to his efforts, basically. But long ago, way back in the day, my father did what I did. And he taught me a lot, even as a child, He would tell me, you see those back tires on that truck? And I'm like, yeah. You see how they're off the ground? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, when they're on the ground, that means they're loaded. I said, what you mean by loaded? He said, that box is full of stuff. I think I learned that when I was like 10. That's what dads do when they know that kind of thing. So anyway, I learned a lot from my father. And I learned a lot from my mother, being in the medical field. And my heart always, my really weird, perverted, brain always kind of leaned toward the medical field. However, the other half of my weird engineering brain leaned toward the construction field. So I kind of bounce between both. So I have a little bit of knowledge in both aspects of it. On the engineering side is the money side. On the medical side is the psychological side. I'm very well-rounded with a very high IQ. I don't sit there and brag about my IQ because I'm very ADHD and neurodivergent, and it kind of like represses the score a tiny bit. So it doesn't matter how many answers I get right. It doesn't matter how high of an engineering score that I place. There's always that logical comparison, if then else, what if you do it this way, it's going to defect this way. If you do it this way, it'll stabilize. But then you have to think about longevity. And I start pulling these fucking equations that don't have what a mathematician or a physicist can write on a chalkboard. I sit there and I comparison it with scenarios. Pretty much come up with the same conclusion or damn near close. Being raised in humble beginnings, my parents did not have the money to send me to Yale or an engineering academy to be able to focus and hone my skills in one particular area. So I basically took what I could get. And I was a dental laboratory technician. I'm looking at one of my drawings because I'm trying to redesign the deck to my house. Hang on a minute. Let me grab this thing. I have a whole notebook of this shit. Anywho. This is me when I wake up in the morning and I get my coffee and I get an idea in my head without a ruler. I have books of it. That's just framing out the porch that's already here on the deck. I just want to extend it. Make it bigger. I want to concrete around my AC unit because I have gas lines there. And I need a paver up against the house. And concrete out, you know. That way, should anything happen to the gas line, pavers can get lifted out. Gas line can be fixed. Pavers can be placed back in there. Things I've learned being a homeowner and having to deal with weed accumulation. I don't like lawn care. I am not a landscaper. I don't like weeds. I don't like chemicals. So how do you kill chemicals from being in the equation? To kill the weeds, you concrete it. Period. So, in any case, when I was talking to my sister earlier, I wasn't giving a whole lot of thought of, you know, what I had done for them when they had first started out to help lessen their load. And I thought about it as I was going to the bathroom. I was like, wow, ain't that ironic? But when I needed them, she was there for me. He was not. Hence the reason why I ended up in my car. Living in my car. Because of him. Not because of her. Because of him. And it was winter. I had a friend. He had let me stay there for a little bit. And he said, because he was, there was issues. But he had said, I'm going to park my car across the street over at my liquor store. You park in my spot. But because things are ugly, I don't want you in this house. I was like, is it that bad? He said, it's that bad. So I've let neighbors know that if you park in one of these 3 spots, leave you alone. I am giving you permission. You can sleep down here, do what you need to do, laundry across the street. And while I'm at work, I'll go ahead and give you the key and go up and shower. He said, but I'm being investigated. I said, that bad? He said, that bad. They're tapping my phone. I don't know how He said, I don't know if I'm going to get out of this one. So to save face and not get me involved in his illegal activities, I was protected by the person that was in trouble. But for about a month, he gave me a place to stay after my brother had put me out on the street. The brother-in-law that I had mailed up to New York, 4 cartons of cigarettes and a sleeve of Copenhagen, several months, not expecting to be paid back for the shipping and or the money that it costs to buy the stuff, so they could keep their sanity while he was in school. Used his children as an excuse, but a year later, when it was his daughter's birthday, he disappointed her by not showing up for her birthday in a timely manner, and then sat there and jested, snark, being completely inebriated. His daughter's name is Elizabeth. He calls her Lizard. I'm offended. So, I mean, I'm not giving, the alibi to the injury, but you know what? There's people out there who are addicted to substances and or involved in a bad way that have more of a fucking conscience than that man had. Seriously. The man that I was friends with through another friend, the girl that I work with, it was her boyfriend. He was heavily involved in drugs and dealing them. And they were on to him. And that is the reason why he said, I need you and everything you got. I need you, save yourself. But I am not going to report your car. And I've told my neighbors, this girl, she needs somewhere to stay that's safe. And I'd rather her be in our parking lot than be somewhere out in the middle of Denver. But things are ugly, and I don't want her in the house in case it gets raided. But during the day, she might come in, take a shower, do her laundry across the road. Her car is welcome here. And they said, fair enough. He said, she's quiet, she's peaceful, she ain't gonna cause no problem. She works at night. Just, I don't want her involved in this, affiliated in this. This is not her. This is me. And they said, fair enough. Sometimes the most nefarious people that you think are nefarious are not nefarious. They're doing what they do because they've been hurt, they've been abused, they're trying to get by, they get involved with the wrong situation. And I can pretty much narrow down a lot of what I've experienced throughout my life, now and in the past. Most of the reasons for the escape through chemical substance and or addictions is heartbreak. It's not a personality disorder. It's trauma and heartbreak. The reason my ex drank so much, it's heartbreak. Who it was, you'll never tell. I'm not giving him alibi. Stating facts. Whatever is fucking traumatizing that man, it makes him abuse women, it's heartbreak. Anybody who is addicted to anything, shadow work. It's trauma. It's heartbreak. Do they have addictive personalities? Everybody does in some way, shape, or form. Some people addicted to their jobs. Some people just are addicted to cleaning because they like things fucking spotless. Some people are addicted to arts and crafts. Some people are addicted to substances that help them escape the pain that they have experienced, and it helps them to not remember it all. Some people are addicted to substances to help them talk out the pain, because without this, I wouldn't even be talking about this right now. I'd be playing a video game on my phone. And I'd be bottling every ounce of this inside. What's really disturbing is the mere fact that my my brother-in-law was part of the health community, and he probably had resources at that time to help me get fixed, whatever I needed. He didn't care. So when my sister calls me talking about all the crap that she dealt with in regards to this individual, I remember all of that. Now, I can't blame her for that because she didn't know. But he's in the health facility community. He does know. And he should have done something. I wish he had done something, but he didn't. No harm, no foul. He's gone from our lives now. So, yeah, my my sister, my older sister, had said the same thing I said. Mother's Day, he had called and said, I wished everybody happy Mother's Day. I didn't know if she had the same number, but I wanted to wish, me a happy Mother's Day. And I told my mother, I said, you call him and tell him I said go fuck himself. Y'all have a great night. Tomorrow's Monday. New week. Hurricane's gone. Hopefully they chip my truck. I can start the week off with a clean slate. Peace out.